are not talking about using Tokano, not using Tokano. Look at what they did in Zamfara. Zamfara communities deserted as bandits killed them just recently.
But
Kieran,
you remember, the president had already declared, shoot aside at anybody who is carrying
AK-47. A long time ago he said that.
That has been standing a long time ago. But be that as it may, the chief of army staff has ordered the release of the officer, you remember, who accepted the proposal of a youth copper at the parade ground in Ilorin. The chief of army staff says that the officer, however, should be warned and reprimanded against acts contrary to the code of conduct of officers and men.
I refuse to say anything about that.
Why?
I refuse to say anything about that because every institution
has their rules and regulations. Yes.
And for crying out loud, why are you advertising your proposal to somebody in Madrid? What fun is there? I don't like that. Can't you talk to the lady somewhere else?
I mean,
not even uniform. Why are you doing it in a parade ground or publicly? What sense does that make? I mean, what do you intend to achieve?
Well, the good thing is that Christmas season is a season of goodwill, and therefore the clemency was given in the spirit of Christmas. Well, I hope the lady will not say, you remember Claire,
Nigerians like to
adapt. What does that mean? The person for who I was punished is the person I was married.
Nigerians
I hope so. I wish
some Nigerians like to dramatize.
Yes.
They're just dramatizing what does not make sense.
It's the exuberance of the camp anyway. But Bayo, just a quick look at the Al Jazeera, if we have the chance, if the director and producer has given us the chance. Al Jazeera has 4 burning political events in 2021. 4 burning political events in 2021. Number 1, ripples of direct primaries controversy, others to linger. Ripples of direct primaries controversy and others to linger. 2, agitations for regional presidential candidate not best option. 3, group can't decide that presidency should come to a zone. That's Yakasi. That's 3. I didn't say the 4th one here. You know, very interesting.
Which 2021 are you talking about? The one that has 4 days to expire?
Well, that's according to Al Jazeera.
Well,
Al Jazeera, maybe 2022.
Maybe we should look at the story that Kirian read earlier on. About 8 federal highways have been completed by the federal government, have been inaugurated. They include the 142-kilometer dualized Kano Maiduguri and then Sokoto Jega in road, as well as Vandekea Obudu Road. The others that are waiting to be commissioned in the second quarter of the year include Isoko Ring Road in Delta, Hadeja Unguru Road in Jigawa, as well as Unguru Geshua Road in Yobe. The good news about this is that these roads were not built with loans. They were built from budgetary allocation as well as from Sukuk funds.
Now, there is this story, about the Max airline. You recall that some time ago, 3 years ago, Ethiopian airline, Max 8 plane, had a fatal, crash, and since then...
Ethiopian Airlines.
Ethiopian Airline, and since then, that brand of aircraft,
was grounded.
Yes. But now they're going to fly that again. Do you have any information about that? Because we learned also in the past that the manufacturers of the aircraft had to go back to
the drawing board.
Yes, and
identify
to redesign and find out what the problem was, because that was not the first one. We've had that, not just Ethiopian Airlines. We have other airlines who use that Max 8.
In fact, before the Ethiopian crash, the first crash was in, I think, was it in Malaysia or South Korea?
Malaysia.
That was where it was.
I'm laughing. We've given you more than enough time, and the director is saying, sign up, so I have to sign you up.
Okay, thank you very much for your generosity today.
All right, have a good day.
You too.
All right, this is Good Morning Nigeria. Don't go. We'll be right back.
Arise, O Nigerians. Let's applaud the courage of Flight Lieutenant Abayomi Dairo, aka the Aggressor, for his skillful and dogged escape from the bloodthirsty bandits in the forest of Zamfara State. 3 hearty cheers also to all military and security personnel who are tirelessly protecting fellow Nigerians from insurgency and banditry while maintaining peace and order. Nigerians are proud of Abayomi Dairo and all our gallant men and women in uniform. for sacrificing so much to keep us safe. We admire your courage and we say thank you. God bless the armed forces. God bless Nigeria. This message is from the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
Finally, the hero of Nigeria's democracy has arrived. He shall usher us into a new phase of development, peace, and prosperity. He is the father of the new Nigeria, His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR. Welcome to another season of giving Nigerians hope yet again. We are sure of a great future for both ourselves and generations yet unborn. We look forward to your leading us as a nation into our manifest destiny. Though the challenges against us as a people are many, we know that your leadership shall set us on the right path to our greatness. A new dawn beckons on us all, and having you as our president is a precursor to this. Thank you for believing in Nigeria. This message is from the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA.
We are all Nigerians. Against all odds, we shall and must remain united. We may have our challenges, our problems, and setbacks. However, together we shall overcome them all. What doesn't break us shall make us stronger. This is the mindset that shall bring peace, progress, and prosperity to our beloved country. Do not let tribal and religious sentiments govern how you think, act, or feel. Don't be influenced by those who want to destroy our precious national unity. Everybody who's a Nigerian is your brother and your sister. This is the mindset of the new Nigeria. It is also the mindset that we must all adopt. Let us support each other in creating the Nigeria of our dreams. This message is from the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA.
Well, it's good you are still with us on Good Morning Nigeria for today. Now, the rate at which fire outbreak is occurring in Nigeria has become a source of concern to well-meaning Nigerians in view of its consequences on the nation's economy and the individual victims. Now, just a few days ago, a serious fire incident occurred in the Federal Capital Territory, where a popular shopping mall was engulfed in flames. Ntalive in this background report reflects on some of the incidents that happened in recent times.
Fire outbreak in various parts of Nigeria has become a perennial problem, leaving in its wake trails of anguish due to enormous loss of lives and livelihood. The effects on the nation's economy are indeed disastrous, especially on the victims, most of whom are not insured. Available reports indicate that in the second quarter of 2021, the Federal Fire Service received 638 fire calls, from which 27 people lost their lives, while property estimated at 3.07 trillion naira was destroyed. Although fire incidents can occur at any time of the year, records show that it is mostly prevalent during the dry seasons as a result of the Hamattan, which is associated with dryness and wind. Some of the prominent fire disasters that have been witnessed towards the end of 2021 include the Elechi Beach fire in Port Harcourt that rendered many homeless, Balogun Market fire incident in Lagos that destroyed property worth millions of naira, and the recent fire outbreaks in petrol stations in Onitsha and Oka, Anambra State. Just recently, on the 26th December, residents of Abuja woke up to the news that fire has engulfed Next Cash and Carry Shopping Mall, one of the prominent shopping centers in Abuja. Although the causes of these fire outbreaks may not be the same, experts have identified some of the basic causes that may lead to fire outbreaks. Some of the popular causes were identified as electrical faults, gas and fuel explosion, and unattended naked fires. How can fire disasters be prevented? How should people respond in the event of a fire outbreak? Guests on Good Morning Nigeria will be speaking to the issues in a moment.
Very sad event indeed. All right, we have our guests to discuss this issue. We have Assistant Controller General of Federal Fire Service in Abuja, Commanding Officer Brian Momo is already here with us. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, and good morning.
And we also have with us in the studio Abbas Idris. He's the Director General, Emergency Management Agency. That's the FCT Emergency Management Agency. And I'd like to welcome the DJ. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Of the season.
Thank you. Good morning, Nigeria.
Gentlemen, it's good to have you here this morning. As a matter of fact, the background report has said it all. But of course, during the course of news highlights this morning, we also told viewers that the Minister of Interior, Rebasola, actually gave out the data of several calls received by the nation's fire service and all of that within 2021 on fire disasters, that took place in this country. But now we have the Assistant Controller General of the Federal Fire Service. I want him to, amplify that, and let's look back at 2021 and the incidents of fire disasters in Nigeria and how we have been able to cope with that.
Well, our response to various fire disasters has been prompt. But one thing the Nigerians has to understand is the time of report of the incident. Because sometimes we get the information late. And when you get the information late, the public will start blaming you for coming late. But if we get this as early as possible, it's not always of problem. Because, are you going to talk of the personnel? We have the capacity. You talk of the equipment. That is, Mr. President of Muhammadu Buhari has really done Nigeria good to have bought a lot of modern firefighting trucks for the Federal Fire Service, which makes us to cover every nook and crannies of the country today. But I don't know why people cannot furnish us with early information to respond as when necessary. Because when we get this information late, then you get your response late. If we get it early, you get your information, you get your response early. So that is what they are facing.
Let's even put you on hold, on the issue of your response and your capacity to respond. Kieran was asking you about data. You are in charge of the commanding office in Abuja here. Can you give us an idea? Let's have an understanding of the intensity or severity of fire outbreaks. Let's say even within the Federal Capital Territory, within this year alone.
Within this year alone, we have recorded many number of serious fire disaster due to man's carelessness. On daily basis, we are always on awareness. We enlighten the public to avert this, but still we don't really know what is going on. Serious fire disasters we never expected. A lot we have battled. In this year alone,
and there are specific instances, so that it would relieve the memory of the viewer watching.
If you talk of some instances, like if I'm to start with these recent ones that happened, just on the 26th of December here, because we were surprised when we received the distress call, something about some few minutes to 11, that Nest is seriously on fire. Hearing that language alone, that Nest is seriously on fire, we have to activate all the fire stations as well as other security agencies in collaboration to bring the situation under control as quickly as possible. Not less than 25 fire trucks were on ground. But to God be the glory, no life was lost. But we were able to tackle the incident. They done their best. Are you going to talk of that of Kubwa fire, which was caused by explosion? How can people trade under high tension? The development controlled FCT do their work on daily basis. As soon as they are moving out from the scene, the people come back there. So we don't know what Nigeria wants, what else they want us to do again. Enlightenment is always there.
All right, sir. We had that because you raised the recent incident at next shopping mall. We understand that there was a firefighting vehicle stationed at the premises of that shopping mall, but that when the fire started, it was not able to be activated because the keys to the vehicle was not there. I don't know whether the vehicle belongs to fire service, your own fire service, or whether it's a privately acquired one. Do you have such information?
Well, we saw the vehicle, but we don't know the level at which it functioned because the vehicle doesn't belong to us. Okay. When we got there, we discover after the fire shot, we do some preliminary investigation to ascertain what must have led to this, whether they don't have some first aid firefighting equipment on ground. You see, people need to confide in the fire service for a strong advice on what to do. If they are operating either at a low risk level or at a high risk level. They actually have this vehicle, but what must have happened when that incident started is what we don't know, because I cannot really speak specifically on that vehicle.
All right. Our focus really is not on this latest occurrence, really. Yeah. But we would also like to know when you talk about swift response, because you said you got there, as quickly as you got the distress call. But DG, give us an understanding with regards to fire outbreaks. What is the weight of the burden on your team?
Well, thank you very much. I always emphasize on the statistics. On daily basis, the rate of fire incident in the FCT on the average is 5 on daily basis, both residential and commercial. And we try as much as possible to respond to all the fires that was reported. And if you look at it, 5 is too much on the average for a city, a growing city, a modern city like FCT. And so we try as much as possible to ensure that we do away with it, because our investigation has shown that it is a human-induced fire. It's something that has to also use the same human beings to overcome it. And incidentally, only last week, Wednesday, we convened a stakeholders collaboration meeting whereby all the stakeholders, the Federal Fire Service, the FCT Fire Service, the market management, the market association, and all other stakeholders in the fire industry were there. The essence was to prevent fire in the FCT, because this is the season of fire. And we now discovered that this season of fire, like we did during the season of flood, we can also be able to mitigate or prevent it. Like we did for the flood, there were a lot of places that are becoming history in terms of flooding now. So we believe that the same thing with the market. And we were able to carry out a statistics of all the markets in the FCT, discover that where fire is more occurring are those markets that are informal. Informal in the sense that owned by the area councils. They are not organized. But all the district markets, they are well planned, and they have the fire stations in all of them. They have the fire defense equipments within the market. They have the hydrants. They have everything within. But for those other markets, they are just staying there. And that is why we consistently these days issued statement that market management should not be allowing people to be using market as their residential places. They are living there. They cook. They use different kinds of inflammables. And therefore, once there is market in that, there is fire in that market, consider it gone completely.
You said you said this is a season of fire.
Yeah.
And you have given us an average of 5 fire outbreaks daily. Yeah. Within this season, this dry season, I like you to juxtapose, the number and the dry season that you have talked about. Yeah. What is the relationship?
Yes, it has shown clearly that this is really the season of the fire. If we start with Kubwa Market fire, we had Nyanya, we had the Ebeno Market fire, and then this one of recent. Apart from the residential that we always attack.
Is it a season thing or?
It is.
Because he said it's man-made.
No, it's man-made, but it's seasonal. I can tell you there is a market that we mark for the past 3 years consecutively. Their fire is always on 10th of January. And we have said it this time around that whatever it is, we have called them and we indicated to them that we are aware that their market got burnt always of 10th of January. So let them know that we are aware. And we are going to inspect that market, and we are going to really thoroughly make sure that we took all the necessary defense equipment nearest to them. That was the essence of our collaboration meeting, coordination meeting. We want to, since we have segmented the markets and we have identified those markets that are prone to fire, so we are going to really give concentration like we did to flood areas, so that we now, even if they need response, we will be very closer to them. Those markets that are not prone to fire will move their own appliances very close to them, so that we give them the necessary defense, because we are losing a lot of our resources in this country.
Now, you made it clear, that there's an average of 5 fire outbreaks in a day in Abuja.
Yes.
And that you've been having meetings with stakeholders and other concerned citizens, with respect to discussing the issues of fire.
Sure.
Now, have you been able to identify the causes of this fire? You could say it's man-made. Yeah. What are the causes of this fire? Are they avoidable? And if you say it is seasonal, fire outbreak that is triggered by electrical appliance cannot be seasonal anyway. Yeah. Right. But I know that when fire is triggered, it can be exacerbated, because of the wind, during dry season like this that we are. Yes. So what basically are the causes of these fire outbreaks? Because of course you have the records. Yeah. What are the causes of these fire outbreaks? Are there avoidable causes? And what can be done going forward?
Yeah, all of them are avoidable, because that is why I say they are man-made and they require human solutions. They are avoidable. Most of the times there are some belief. Some have the belief that they will not cross over to the next year with what they had. Either they had bad luck, yes, this is our own investigation. Mm-hmm. And then some believe that the market was not really favorable for them as such. So anything, they have the belief that if they try to really move with what they have, it's going to affect the next year. That is one. Secondly, the way people are connecting and using appliances during this season. And you find out that they will use inferior cables, especially in those informal markets. When you get a stall, instead of calling the AEDC to come and connect you, you would rather get a one thing wire that can extend from the next shop to your shop. And then you deploy all the gadgets and put them together. The extension cable is inferior, you overload it, and then you sleep or you lock the shop and then leave it on. This is really inviting fire. And then those who are cooking within the market, They are using different kinds. Some are using camp gas and so on and so on. And then also the arrangement of the market. You will find out that somebody is selling cotton here, another person is selling kerosene, somebody is now frying suya here, and then some has textile and mattresses, all together within the same cycle. And so once there is fire in that spot, everywhere will be inflamed.
Okay,
So these are the things that we're talking about.
Let's bring in Brian Momo again. I don't know if you think the DG's response or remarks that some people about some people's belief in burning or planning to burn either their markets or stores, and I don't know if you think that is tenable. Otherwise, from your investigation, if you have conducted any, what are the key or major triggers of fire outbreak?
He's very correct of what he has been saying, because some human beings are frustrated. Instead of strongly to the point of sources, they look at another person's sources to become frustrated, especially on this area of trading, which investigation sometimes is very difficult to prove arson, because in the market, where all electrical apparatus are switched off by 6 o'clock, what must have caused that fire in the midnight? These are the things. And no bush burning around, either a little far off. So you discover that when we are talking of these major causes, you talk of the carelessness, you talk of the willful act, which is arson. Then you talk of the accident. Then you talk of the natural acts. But majority of it come under the heading of carelessness and the willful act, because the natural aspect of it hardly happen. The natural aspect of it that can always why he talk of seasonal, why you must agree with him is that, you see, this Hamattan season, people supposed to be aware of the fully current charge environment. That is the atmosphere. Is highly current charge, electrically current charge, of which in the dry season you don't witness it. I mean, in the rainy season you don't witness it, but in the dry season, you even use your body to touch a fellow human being. It's spark. That is to tell you that the current above has dropped below. And that current must always find its works to do. And that is why we enlighten the public to be very careful during the Hamattan season. Not just dry season. It's not just a dry season you speak of. Combined with the Hamattan. So it is fully current charge. Like you talk of the oil and gas. You see, if you are talking of fire control or disaster control, they all have different magnitude. But when you are talking of, for example, like the oil and gas industry, they're supposed to know that their areas of focus are supposed to be their earth wire, which must not be of below 50 mm capacity to override that issue that will have occurred. So it will serve as blockage to this coming current. But it always remains the same story. How is it? We are discharging our fuel when eventually fire ensues. These are people that has been advised that when this tanker landed, because on motion, when it was on motion, the positive and the negative electron has been building in millions. So it remains intact and charged. Then coming to discharge, then the atmospheric current contributed to it as well. So if you have that earth wire that will now serve as a blockade, as a stumbling block for the fire to occur, then the situation is safe. But they will not even stay for less than 24 hours for these positive and negative electrons to disappear. Because at that time of movement, this hydrocarbon material is having a movement all over the body of the distant building, having a full build-up capacity. So immediately they reach, the same man will be thinking of how he will meet up with that appointment. Maybe in Abuja now, he will be thinking of how he will meet up with Kano appointment in the next 3 hours. Then the people will embark on discharge. Even if it is rainy season, the fire must happen. So that is why we advise them, don't use anything below 50 mm. Otherwise, you run into trouble. And you go to many filling stations, you see the type of earth wire they use. Some are even using 10 mm, 15 mm, and so on.
Let's very important point you are raising. But please, this is Hamattan. This is dry Hamattan season.
Yes.
And again, markets go up in flames, residential buildings go up in flame. You know, it's a common occurrence during this period. And you have said the atmosphere is fully charged.
That is true.
Are we helpless? What can we do? Because this is the essence of this program during this period.
You avoid using certain things. That is why if you are using a rubber line cloth, a type of terrain cloth in the night, when you put off your light, at a time, if you want to recover yourself, what do you experience? You see sparkling of fire. The same thing in the daytime, these sparks happens, which you does not even see. Like you are dealing in the high shopping mall. There are some products there wrapped with all these nylons and so on, which are highly electrical products. When we talk of static electricity, it's even more than the industrial electrical current you observe. So we want people against all these things. That when you are doing this thing, make sure you get the professionals around you. How many shopping malls or some highly institutions of risk has fire safety within their reach? Because we are talking of, let's say, the recent one that has just happened in Jahid district. The closest fire station, the two closest fire stations there you may even take measure of is Uze Zone 3, the Federal Fire Service, the FCT of Gwarimpa. Fire does not wait for person. The fire that will burn for 1 minute means a lot. So by the time you tell them, and you see, we are talking of when it started, that incipient stage, nobody to attack it. If the professionals has been there, immediately they will know what to do to tackle it. As they are tackling it, then they call for assistance, for a reinforcement. But many of these institutions lack that theoretical manner. They don't do it.
For residential, for residential, areas, homes at this point in time.
Residential?
Yes.
That of the residential, the fact is that we are so used to cheap products. You see this electrical issue. Go all through the world. Majority of the household fire are being caused by electricity. Wrong connection, substandard material and so on. Quack electricians, you come to call me as a professional, whom people are well known, I will charge you about 20,000 naira. Another man is there that will charge you 2,000 naira to do the work. Then you will prefer to call that man. What is that person inviting for himself? And after finishing that work, it's supposed not to end there. Now call another professional or another body. We have some Standard Organization of Nigeria. Call them for inspection. Like people, we have vendors that are even of fire equipment business, charging your fire extinguisher for you. Do you know that many people are at risk today? Because they just put that container there with the gauge read. Once you just see now I've done it for you, it has charged. Forgetting quite well that the content is not up to what's supposed to be provided for you. 6 kg, some of these vendors will make it 2 kg for you. And when the problem happens, immediately you strike. Less than a second, and that is all. It will not perform the duty with which it is employed for. Then when you are talking of car fire as well, you advise many motorists, don't use that little shuttles fire extinguisher. Go and buy your 6 kg. They will not even hear. When it happens, you see them jumping up and down. And moreover, as an institution, after servicing your fire equipment and so on, call the fire service for inspection to ascertain if the job done for you is correct or not. We have the IIA, the inspectorate. we have the investigation department, and we have the enforcement. Enforcement, you can always call them to tell you the truth. Now, come, my brother, I've just serviced this fire extinguisher. Ascertain and sign this form for me. Make them to sign so that when problem happen, you can say fire service come to. Let me tell you, all fire service are the same. Don't tell me whether FCT or federal.
Well, but I want to ask you a question with respect to what you have enumerated. In fact, you have made a very solid and valuable point, with respect to the questions we put to you so far. Do you have the capacity in terms of numbers? Because if every household will have to engage a fire service person, or institutions in Nigeria will begin to engage fire service persons to ascertain whether they have the right equipment, or whether the equipment is in good condition and what have you, it will be cumbersome, I think. Do you have such number? It's been in Abuja here. Do you have such a number of personnel that can go doing this?
That is why the organization always beg the government to increase the number. Not that the number is not there, but you see, the workload will be so stressful. But we have the capacity. But still, Oliver asked for more. We need more personnel.
Oliver, please, you're not all Oliver. All right, the DG, please, is there a synergy between the FCT fire service and that of the federal fire service? Because it appears that whenever there's fire outbreak in Abuja here, little or nothing is saved. Does it mean that the fire service have always been invited later than necessary? Why is it that in every fire incident you find out that nothing will be saved? We saw that of the shopping mall. In fact, that place has been raised down. The owner has to start afresh. We saw that of the market, and other places. It does appear that the capacity, which of course he said is there, in practical terms, we don't get to see it. And in some cases, they say, look, yes, the fire service people are there, but there's no water. Or the fire people are there, or there's no way for them to get into the scene properly to be able to, engage the fire, and so on and so forth. Several reasons like that.
Kira, let me be frank with you. If there is any place that has a proper coordination of all the disaster managers in terms of fire and other things, is the FCT. I can really beat my chest for that. And you could see from the 26th incident how all the fire personnel, including the private sector, were mobilized. They didn't just brought themselves. It was through coordination that we brought them. And the synergy and collaboration has been there. You remember I kept saying we have a response plan, which has been adopted by all the stakeholders. And the last meeting we had on Wednesday, it was based on this response plan that we developed ourselves by all the stakeholders. And now we brought in the sector, the fire sector, and let's brainstorm how do we prevent fire in the FCT. And you could see within short period of time, we were able to bring in all the stakeholders, including the military, with their appliances to come and fight the fire.
What was achieved?
Good. The issue of why you are not getting maybe the desired result, he has mentioned it. People are not reporting fire immediately. They tried as much as possible to see. From the clip you just showed, you saw somebody using bucket trying to extinguish the fire at the next cash and carry. You cannot do that. Immediately you sense something. We have been saying it. We have jingles running. That anything you sense that is strange to you in terms of fire, please call the firemen. Quickly report this. Even if they come and you are able to extinguish it, they will still go around, assess, and then give you some confidence that you can go in there is nothing there. But people don't. They try to make an attempt. And then one thing is, by the time you allow people to come in terms of rescue, they are amplifying the fire. Because they will open all the places that are blocked. Instead of containing the fire where it started, you are now amplifying it to go up. The fire doesn't, if there is fire in this room, you are expected to close everywhere. Move out and then call the firemen. by the grace of God, they will come and meet the fire in that same room,
Spot.
same spot. Instead of breaking the glasses, some people will break glasses using water, sun, and whatever.
air will now,
and that is it.
assist
Fire
the-
go.
yes, the fire.
So it will now be amplified. And that is why we are always saying that the problem is not from the responders. The problem is most times it's not even the owner that reports fire incident. It's the passerby that will see smoke. That means the fire has already overwhelmed. And that was exactly what happened at Next Cash and Carry. Because their own appliances, as you were saying, their appliances was just behind. It couldn't work. I don't think even the firemen were around at that time. And so it was only people within the shopping mall that were trying to prepare for opening at 12 afternoon that were within the shop. And then they were trying to see how they can overcome the fire before they reported. I was forced there before we now bring in the security to ensure that the place is cordoned up. And then I started activating the fire services all over. Then they started coming. So and if you look at the coordination there, it was perfect. Otherwise, the place would have been something else. Even the salvage wouldn't have been there.
DG, that's good, and I really must commend your team. I will come to you later. Kieran has already ticked it off to look at the fire, education, prevention, and all the protocols and how we can avert it. But I'll still like us to have an understanding of what happened, so and what we can do as individuals. And I'm bringing in Mr. Momo. Let's use Next as a case study. We understand that it was a holiday. All the appliances, were switched off, and I think in one of the reports somebody said it was due to a power surge.
Anyway.
Yes, and why is it also that in most cases when your men arrive, nothing is usually salvaged?
The fact is that we talk of early fire. You can get it done immediately if only it happens in your presence. We are talking of fire, especially during this Hamattan period, and free burning material fire. So we are talking of about nothing less than 26 firefighting trucks, then 10 water tankers that were on ground. But let me tell you.
That you deployed to Next?
Yes, of course.
Within how many minutes?
That's at the time we got the report. Everything was activated. Let me tell you, like the DG is saying, he activated all relevant agency from Villa, the PC4, the National Security Advisor Office, activated all relevant agency like we did also. You see, all over, there was communication and synergy that there is a serious issue on ground. Everybody have to be there, and which we actually did. But the issue was reported late, like we are still saying. You have firemen there. What happens to that truck? You have security officers there. What was the matter? Are they not professionals? And that is why I am telling you that you talk of some institutions today that have firefighters, well-trained firefighters. As it happens, they nip it to the bud. But let me tell you, even the next, when we got in there, we discovered that it's no go area to penetrate. Imagine the fire that could not even burn for how many minutes, the wall started cracking. You see, started breaking, falling off, which can easily bury firemen alive.
So exactly, sir. Sorry, I'm not cutting you short, and we're not putting you on the spot, with respect to Next and what happened there. But my concern and our concern, is you have to do with training, in the sense that if you get to a particular spot where there is fire, what should be, who is directing? Because there's always a confusion when people gather. Who is leading? Who is leading the operation? What is the tactics? What is the methodology to attack this fire? Because, like you said, Next was reduced to nothing. If you converged about 25 vehicles and all of that, one would have thought that, look, one way or another, the thing could have been stopped at a point. Why did it get to the point of no return in terms of the fire? It messed up the entire structure.
Every vehicle that we on ground engaged overhead monitor, which is the highest level of fighting fire in any institution because of the system, because you cannot go in with medium jet. We try to go in with medium jet, but the incident commander say that this is a live threat. You go there, you will see it boldly. The wall will crack it falling. The next thing you will see is just to bury people alive. So everybody surrounded the building. I was there. He was there. Like so many other stakeholders.
What could have happened? I'm sorry again. What could have happened if the appliances were all switched off at DG and there was a surge? It's not plausible that,
You can't switch
no,
off.
we have not got it.
You can't switch off freezers because they have a
No. And I told you already some workers have started reporting, preparatory for opening the store at 12 noon. So therefore, some appliances definitely will be on.
Yes.
And so from there, probably they now got, spark and the fire started. Let me comment on what the accessibility that we are talking about. All the fire appliances, the way we operate is that by the time we get to the scene of the incident, we establish command center, which we will have an incident commander who is going to take charge of the entire incident. So there couldn't be any confusion whatsoever. And then the issue is there was no accessibility that you can get into the mall. Again, already at the beginning of the fire, the wall has already compromised. So therefore, the safety of the firemen first, because they cannot just jet in and then get buried at that point in time. So what we are always saying is that malls like this should factor in risk management into their own plans. They must have a place that is, okay, in case of emergency, we'll be able to open this place so that a fire truck can have access to the main store. Then they can make it in such a way that and put a billboard to cover it up. When there is an emergency, the security are trained that, okay, if there is an emergency, we need a truck in. Open this place so that they can get in and extinguish the fire. But all the fighting we were doing is behind the wall. Okay. Like he said, we without the platforms and other things, we couldn't have even salvaged those items that have been salvaged.
Go ahead, please.
Yes. So the businessmen should factor in risk management into it. They always believe that nothing will happen, and also the fire extinguishers that were in the mall, they were really substandard. You can't have a fire extinguisher, a store like that, without adequate sprinklers, without adequate automatic sprinklers that will now immediately they sense fire and smoke detectors. They now swing into action. And then the fire extinguishers, you will need to get there are sophisticated chemical fire extinguisher that doesn't even expire. And although it's costly, but it can, within a short period, you can attest to that. If you use 4 liters of it, it can extinguish a big magnitude of fire, 4 liters.
Do you think, from all that we have seen and from all the fire outbreaks, within this year, do you think that owners of structures, or do you think generally that we have overlooked or downplayed the injection of fire safety protocols, even in our development, in our construction, and in our buildings?
Absolutely. He can attest to that. He has the fire prevention officers who are going around to check the buildings. Most buildings are compromising. Most buildings, you go there, you won't see anything. And you give them a note that this is what they're supposed to do. All the malls in the city, I can attest to that we always visit them and advise them on what to do. They will say they are going to comply, but they will not comply. We only get to know this thing after there is an incident. And then when you try to make sure that they do it, they feel as if you are trying to, put them into unnecessary conditions that they are not supposed to be. But if you take the statistics round, you see that the big malls, the plazas are not really complying with that.
Yes.
Well, okay, you want to comment on that?
Yes, it is true. Because when we are talking of safety, every institutions, we can just overlook that of residential areas, which is still necessarily they're supposed to have a fire file. Anytime the inspectorate division goes to these people to request for this fire file, to know where the assessment, this risk assessment has get to, they will never show you. Why are you here? Look, don't stop embarrassing
You
the
actually do that?
Yes, of course.
Yes.
Every institution is supposed to have fire file because on daily basis, the men are going up and down for risk assessment. So you will not have this thing in place. And moreover, when we are talking of disaster management.
What is on the fire file list?
Okay, for example, if the fire file will contain, for example, if I should enter this premises now, I will check it around. To every location in the building, I will mark this supposed to be here, that's supposed to be there. A plus B, that place, this is the right thing that's supposed to be. Now, this institution, you are of a very high risk. So you're supposed to install some fixed installations, either on passive ground or active. So that, like he rightly said, that there are some, this thing you will fix, which immediately is happening like this, they will activate themselves. It once happened in one of the mega hotels, which I don't want to mention the name. So immediately they call on us. Reaching there, the smoke has already covered everywhere. That hotel will have burned down. If not for the fact that they were having the necessary first aid firefighting appliances. So immediately the sprinkler actuated themselves and for that we only stand by. We only remain there from night to day. From midnight it's happened.
In that hotel?
Yes,
The
because
hotel
somebody plugged they plugged this thing something of is it hairdressing, something after carrying out the investigation to discover that when the light was off, they could not remember to unplug all these things before the closing hour. So during the midnight, that was when something occurred. So everywhere was covered with smoke. We were unable to even assess the distance. But at the end of it, the sprinkler fought this fire. Despite the fact that institutions supposed to go with different type of installation on our recommendation. Like such a place now, for example, like some of this mall, you go there. What they need, because if you say you use sprinkler, that thing you don't want fire to destroy. Water may even destroy it more than expected. So for that, they may say, okay, install this is it this F500, F200 is of full carbon material, carbon dioxide. You know, carbon dioxide is not friendly to fire. So immediately the fire is coming up, they will all actuate and everything will be covered up with oxygen. That is why we do ask our kitchen maintainers or kitchen attendants to make sure they always have in place carbon dioxide fire extinguisher. But how many kitchen will you go today, you see fire extinguisher at this thing there?
Even fire blanket.
Because when it happens, you will quickly take it and use it because it's a cleansing agent which you can use on your food, and there's nothing like condemnation. You still eat that food, it still remains very, very useful. But by the time you use the dry chemical powder, it can poison the food and you cannot even use it. So like the area of poor, if that is what people are thinking that... so then you now talk of the fire blanket. How many kitchens have it? If your power is not up to buy this thing, so you can just carry the kitchen blanket and then cover up the fire. So many things, because when we are talking of management, we are referring to prevention. Then we refer to mitigation. Then we refer to preparedness and then the response. Then the prevention belongs to you, the owner. Then you now talk of, that is why we still go out to still educate the public. This is what you do. This is what you do. Then we now talk of the mitigation. Mitigation goes with, that is the first aid firefighting equipment. That is, it must happen, but the damage will be very, very small.
Okay, by the time we resume after the break, we're going to take you on some of the powers, which of course the fire service has, or whatever legal instrument that you have to ensure that some of the institutions that did not comply with those things you mentioned should be able to comply, based on the fact that when fire comes, everybody is affected, right? So you're watching Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the NTA. We'll take a short break now. When we return, the conversation continues.
The 157-kilometer Lagos-Ibadan Railway is the first double-track standard gauge railway to be built in West Africa. The Mobolaji Johnson train station is a masterpiece, an infrastructure that is gradually becoming an iconic building in Lagos State. The modern facilities put the station on a world map of train stations. Likewise, other new train stations across the country built to world-class standards. The train and its convenience is indeed an admirable effort, with commendations from Nigerians.
This is a station that we have to commend the federal government for putting a beautiful face, empowering us in Lagos State, not only in economic and political arena.
I can say that I'm really impressed with the infrastructures in place. Kudos to the Minister of Transportations. Kudos to the federal government.
Truly, good things are coming out of Nigeria, and the federal government is deserving of all the applause.
The counsel of our fathers.
My advice to these young people is, please do not take us back to those harrowing days. You probably do not know what it is.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation together.
We have come to the end of another successful year. We wish to appreciate all those who mean so much to us. Our clients, the 3 tiers of government, ministries, departments, and agencies, corporate bodies, advertisers, religious bodies, civil society groups, political parties. You are esteemed viewers. Together, we made 2021 great. Together, we shall make 2022 greater. Thank you. Wishing you a Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year from all of us at NTA.
The NOA, for example, has succeeded a great deal in sensitization during the pandemic, and we have found the community mobilization officers most effective in the sensitization and in the advocacy campaigns, creating awareness on the coronavirus pandemic. We have done this through the production of jingles, which were very widely distributed in different languages, in English, in Hausa, in Yoruba, in Igbo, in Tiv, in Igala, in Kanuri, in Fulfulde, in Ijo, in Isoko, in Bini. In talk of any other language you can think of, we had translated sensitization messages.
This message is from the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
All right, welcome back. You're watching Good Morning Nigeria live on the network service of the NTA, and we're discussing the issue of a recurring fire outbreak, especially during the dry and dusty Hamattan season. And a notable quote I just discovered, and I mean very true, says that fire is the closest third party to us. Of course, you know, after air, water, fire is the next thing, but it is also a very, very dangerous mode of for destruction, and that's the essence why we're having this conversation. Just dangerous friend, Kiran says.
Without fire, you better achieve too many things.
Exactly,
Right.
exactly. But just before we went on break, Kiran already indicated some areas that we would like the Assistant Controller General of Federal Fire Service, Mr. Momo, here to speak to, and of course the DG of FCT NEMA. I'm told that we have joined us via Zoom from Lagos another guest, Ibrahim Farinloye, who is the coordinator, Lagos Territorial Office of the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA. And it's our pleasure to have you with us. Just the last few minutes of our conversation. But let's have your thoughts about the intensity and severity of fire outbreak, especially during this season. And what you think, do you think it's man-made, or is it out of ignorance or sheer lack of knowledge?
Good morning, viewers. Well, most of the 90% of the fire occurring, especially in Lagos, most of them, they are about 90% man-made, man-induced fire disasters. One, our carelessness. Then the faulty use of electrical appliances. Aside from that, well, most of them are man-made because Lagos, is the peculiarity of Lagos. Most of us have fatigue. By the time we get home, we leave children at home, and by the time we get home, most of the women or men, maybe they get home around 9, 10 at night. They have to cook. Then along the line, the fatigue is setting, sleep off. So you have that. Then the children. Then when we work of workplace, most of the problem at workplace mostly are caused by clutter. Clutter means that lack of proper ventilation. Then most of the equipment where the ventilation free air or free the environment are clustered by dirt, filling up the spaces where fresh air can set in, thereby creating unnecessary heat. And that heat can generate fire. Aside from arson, aside from lack of proper fire prevention equipment, these are major causes of fire, mostly in Lagos.
Lagos is actually one of the epicenter of fire disasters in Nigeria. How has it been in 2021? We know we have some fire incidents in Lagos lately. How were you able to coordinate the management of those disasters in terms of efforts made by the State Fire Service? Because I know that Fire Service has it's on concurrent list. We have State Fire Service and Federal Fire Service, right? How equipped is Lagos State Fire Service to deal with the numerous fire incidents in Lagos?
Well, it's not only State Fire Service, though the State Fire Service are spread across all parts of the states, while the Federal Fire Service have about 4 or 5 stations in which we've been requesting them at least to expand to some areas where it's also necessary. I've been talking to the zonal commanding officer, though we've been talking with some other well-reached agencies, especially the former DPR, which is now the has changed, to help us establish fire station in 1 or 2, 3 to assist us in setting it up. However, the capability and the capacity of fighting fire when it occurs are there. What we have done, in essence, is to create the resilience of Nigerians. In most of these fires we've been recording, we've succeeded in reducing total reduction of death from such fire, and which is an achievement. Once you receive casualty figures in such, then you go ahead in creating this resilience of how the people themselves can manage the fire. So apart from the statutory agencies having the wherewithal to fight it effectively. We are also trying to create how the people themselves can fight a fire before it gets to a level where they will need external assistance. So far, so good. It has been a good story, both by the state, federal, and private, especially Julius Berger, the Nigerian Army. They all come out, especially UBA, they all come out to assist when there is any incident of such nature.
What do you think should be the role of the, well, if I may, first responders or passers-by now who, cites, the fire outbreak first? What should be the first step to take to prevent it?
When there's power outage?
Yes, once you cite a fire outage, what's the first step? What should you do?
I can't get you.
Once, because sometimes we are told that passers-by exacerbate the situation. So if you are a passerby and you spot a fire somewhere, what should you do? What is the first thing before reaching out to the fire responders?
Yes, the first thing we do by passerby, especially if the residents are not aware, is to call the attention of the residents for them to escape to safety, because most of the residents may not notice where the fire starts from. And if they are not aware, he needs to call them and call the neighbors so that they can join them to save the resident before calling the state fire service.
Okay. All right. We might return to you, before the end of the program. But for now, let's get back to Abuja here. Brahma, once more. Is there any enabler in terms of a legal enabler or a legal framework, that empowers the fire service, for instance, ensure that institutions or public places where there's supposed to be precautionary measures such as the provision of firefighting equipment, fire extinguishers and all of that are supposed to be, and they're not there? Is there any way, is there any form of law or that allows you to enforce the establishment or the institution, especially like market, which is a public place? Like, look, for this market to exist and to continue functioning effectively, that you should have a firefighting facility, or otherwise this market will have to be closed down.
Is there on the Fire Act? Is there? But you know what human beings are. Correcting them for one thing, you see them on another something. And that is why, if it's not there wouldn't have been the establishment of fire service. The government that established fire service put all those things in place in the act. They are there. And that is why we must carry out inspection. For example, before any building, they're supposed to drop the plan with a department in the fire service that will look into it and give a permit. Because some may be building wrongly, which will be of a high threat to fire in future. For example, you are talking of a flood disaster. People build in the waterway. The same thing we are talking. Like that of Kubwa issue, where you see people selling gas and kerosene tank displayed under the high tension. Every now and then, the task force, development control go there to chase them away. As they are moving in the next minute, they come back, telling the whole world what do they want them to eat if they don't do this thing. So they are really constituting this problem to themselves. It's there. That is why you go to some of these government institutions.
So you have no powers to enforce that. That's what they're letting us know.
The power to enforce that, we have the power.
Why are you not enforcing it? Why are you not enforcing it?
If you do carry out routine inspection of, let's even leave residential areas aside and markets, in institutions, government institutions, big malls, public places, if you do have the power, why are you not enforcing it? Why are you not carrying out routine, inspection?
Or take this show to court?
Can I come in here? Because actually the Fire Act is very obsolete. It's not really living with the reality on ground at the moment. And that act needs to be amended. It is 1963 law. And going with what we are having today, how do we really enforce parts of those laws? And again, also, you find out that it's restricted. There is no way somebody can take you to court for stealing his own premises, because it has not given the absolute power. Absolute power, what I mean by absolute power for, except like in the FCT, we can use the Urban and Regional Planning Law and seal up a place, but not the Fire Act. We can use that. We can use development control and other laws to also seal a place. But so we need to really review those laws. If we want to, for public safety, those laws shouldn't be staying too long without review, especially going with the nature of the dynamics we have these days, especially even in buildings. You find out that is there any law that empowers the federal or state fire service that they must vet a building from the design to the completion? No. That is why you can see that they will go and use inferior cables. The fireman cannot go there. The fireman can only go after when he sees a very beautiful edifice. He will go for inspection and then certify what he has not seen. He's supposed to be at the scene from inception, because there are engineers, electrical engineers, all the engineers in the fire service who are trained to know the kind of cables they will use. What kind of thread are you going to use? And then they know, just like when he was talking about the minimum cable for the filling station. So if the filling station is constructed without the input of the firemen, that is why he's now talking about they are using 10 mm instead of 50. If he was involved in the structure, the structural development of the place, we will have gotten real, absolute requirement, and then we will not have fire. And again, the system of ours, the fire system, it's only in Nigeria that we are using 3 cables up to this moment. Most developed countries, they have turned to 2 if you are using. And the main cause of the fire is mostly, if it is from the electrical fluctuation, is this 3 cable system that we are using. And today, if you buy a phone with 2, they say you will go and change because you are used to that. But when you get to developed countries, you hardly see the 3 cable. You have 3 cable. This thing will not work.
3 cable to 3 faces.
3 faces. Not 3 faces. Yes, 3 faces in the wall.
Exactly.
So that is another main cause of the fire. Unless we change that entirely, we adopt the standard, the world standard, and go back to that 2 cable.
I think you're making a point here. Clay has made a point here, because in many buildings you have 3 faces, right?
That is
and if there's no power in one phase, you can just remove the fuse and put in another phase, and there's this usual spark that you get. That is spark that you get when you change that fuse, right? But perhaps from what you have seen so far, it appears to be the best option, because in some cases, some places you don't have, you may not have power, but your neighbor will have power. You'll be wondering what is going on. You're not owing, you're unprepared.
And sometimes it's the professionals that even advise you
to do that.
Even do that. So but gentlemen, we have just less than 3 minutes to wind up our discussion, and I just like Mr. Brimo, because we've heard sometimes, not all the time. Even your men, when they get to a scene of a fire outage, even when they are called on time and they get there, sometimes they complain of, we don't have enough water, we don't have this, we don't have that. Is this still a recurring?
No fireman, right from onset. You see, they will always give a dog a bad name in order to get him killed.
It's your men that say it.
No, it has never happened. No. It has never. I'm a grassroots. I fought fire for years, and that is the crown, the best crown they have been given to the firemen. Instead of appreciating them, we knew what we have been facing. That truck you are seeing, they expect. Okay, assuming when they turn that truck out to a very serious fire, only 1 truck on ground, and this is a truck that has a minimum distance it carries, and the next place of refilling may be very far from. All what the public wants is for you to continue discharging that water without getting finished. Immediately the water finish, don't ever measure to them my water finish. You run into trouble. So that is why these days when there is fire, we turn out as many stations as possible. So that as this truck is exhausting, he has gone for refilling, the other one is fighting, the other one, a lot. You see that within a short time, then there's something.
All right, Bravo, Momo, you said emphatically that it has never happened.
It has never happened, and it will never happen.
In the very area which you have operated.
It will never happen.
Because,
it has never happened.
Because we have a state fire service, most of them are not properly equipped. They complain this. They say, perhaps there are people that will say, look, we don't have water. Some of them don't even have good trucks, right? You know, so don't say it doesn't happen.
We've seen videos, viral videos where some men, in your uniform, are scooping water.
Trying to.
We've seen that.
Firefighting truck.
Anyway, just give us a summation.
I think we should end with him and get back to Ibrahim, foreign lawyer. As we are rounding off this edition of the program. Mr. Foreign lawyer. Let us know the kind of challenge that you have in Lagos with respect to emergency management. What are those challenges that confront your agency in Lagos? Of course, Lagos is highly populated. We know that there are so many instances where perhaps your men could not function efficiently because of that reason. So what are those challenges?
Well, one of the challenge is just what we are talking about that Assistant Controller just mentioned, the issue of lack of fire hydrants. Like in some of these centers where we've been having recurring issues of fire disasters, we've appealed to them severally. We've had meetings with some of the market associations that to drill a fire hydrant in 2 or 3 places within their market space where it will be easier for us to get water. For instance, at Ladipo, it takes us more than about 3 to 4 kilometers. At times, some of them will not even allow us to get water. We had a meeting with them. Can you use about 2 million naira to prevent losing about 20-30 million naira? We spoke with them early this year, but up till now, they've not taken any, that we can even assist to fill it up once you can drill. So some of the challenges, people don't want to see disaster management as their responsibility. They want government to do everything, and government is limited financially. So if government can do, like in Lagos State, we have so many fire hydrants located all over, but some of them are not functioning. So we need to go back to bases where we know we have at times about 5 kilometers away. So the lack of cooperation by the community, by people, is one of the major challenges we are facing. Then secondly, traffic in Nigeria. Traffic in Lagos is horrible. For us, no way, they don't give way to to responding agencies when there is any incident. That is one. Then the third one is not so much. It's like when we are talking of top protection. Top protection, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to be seen to be doing this. This is a recurring decimal in some states, which I think we still need to overcome to make things easier for us.
All right, Fari Loye, Coordinator, Lagos Territorial Office, National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA. Would like to appreciate you, even though you joined us quite late, but we thank you for the incisive contribution you have made. Thank you. All right, and just before we go, a quick one, less than 60 seconds, both from the DJ and from Mr. Momo. What can be done? What can be done to ensure that the fire sector meets the expectation of the country? In 60 seconds.
Okay.
So that DJ can also.
Yes, it has to be a thing of general responsibility. Safety. People should take safety important. They should not rely on government alone, just like our counterpart in Lagos have just said. Safety is the key word. Let everybody be watchful. let everybody be mindful of safety. They should not go after cheap things that can cost their life.
DJ?
Yes, I think we should to also review our laws, existing laws, and ensure that there is full compliance to such law. If
All
we
right.
can do that, I think we take the risk management fully into our pace.
All right, this issue of law is very important. It has to be updated.
Yes.
At this point, I'd like to thank you for being here this morning. Abbas Idris, Director General, FCT Emergency Management Agency. Thank you for your contribution.
Thank you very much.
And the Assistant Controller General of the Federal Fire Service, Abuja Commanding Office, Brimo Momo. Thank you for being here this morning.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you, the
next
viewers.
is sports.
As the Super Eagles prepare for the 2021 African Cup of Nations, Super Eagles interim coach Austin Meguavo, during an interview, talks about the possibility of Eagles playing friendly games before the tournament, strength of their group opponents and going back to win play, and how prepared they are so far.
There is a team on ground. I think this team is ready to compete anytime, any day, if called upon. And yes, the time, it's quite short. We all know that. Because every coach has his own leadership style, his own philosophy. And with the quality of players that we have, I don't think we'll struggle. But the only thing is, there won't be time for any friendlies. You know, that's when you actually assess your team, if they can actually do what you want or what the technical crew wants.
Meanwhile, substitute Edison Cavani came off the bench to help Manchester United secure a draw away to struggling Newcastle in Monday's Premier League fixture. Cavani's 71st minute equalizer at the St James Park salvaged the 1-1 draw after Alan St Maximin's early strike had threatened to hand Newcastle their second Premier League win of the season. The draw means United, who are in 7th place on 28 points and now 7 points behind 4th place Arsenal.
All right, let's quickly take a look at developing stories on the foreign scene.
The United States announced that traveling between the US and Southern Africa can resume on the 31st of December. The announcement takes place 1 month after the US suspended all flights from the region following the announcement of the Omicron variant. South Africa, Mozambique, and Malawi are amongst the 8 countries that can resume traveling with the US after the 31st of December. According to the Biden administration, Omicron infections are already present in the US, therefore making the travel suspension pointless. Experts have warned that the Omicron variant is already the main source of COVID-19 infections all over the world. Meanwhile, Thabo Makgoba, the Archbishop of Cape Town, announced on Monday that the funeral of Desmond Tutu, the Nobel Peace Prize-winning icon, who died on Sunday, aged 90, will be held on Saturday, January 1, in Cape Town's St. George the Martyr Cathedral. Starting from Friday, Desmond Tutu's body will lie in state at the cathedral where he officiated for many years. As tributes continue to pour in from across the world, Cape Townians and South Africans pay their last respect and prepare to honor the anti-apartheid leader. Following the passing of the clergyman, South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa called for a 7-day mourning period.
All right, Ekene, thank you for that package on the foreign scene. And that ends Good Morning Nigeria for today, Tuesday. Don't forget to join us again tomorrow for another edition. I am Claire Adilabo Abdurazak, and as always, I enjoy you to join us in our fight against rape and rapists. From all of us, bye-bye.
All right, I'm Kirian Umayo. Thank you for watching. See you some other time, and have a great day.
NTA Tuesday Live, analytical, in-depth, educative, and interactive. on national issues, accommodating all sides of opinions.
We as a people have understood that we have to fight corruption before it fights us back.
Poverty has a financial index, so it should be fought also with a financial weapon. Give it to the social investments program. It has been a very courageous battle.
Tuesday Live, every Tuesday at 10:30 p.m. Join us.